I'm so out of breath for some reason. Like, I literally haven't done anything and I'm so out of breath. Ugh. Hello everyone. Today we are going to be reading through the first chapter of Esther, and that we're going to be getting some little tidbits straight from Jesus himself. And the reason I'm saying that it's straight from Jesus is because I've read the book of Esther quite a few times, simply because my dad used to make me and my sisters read it a lot when we were younger. But now that I'm actually like studying it myself and really like getting into it, I have been asking the Lord while I read this to just show me new things, refreshing things, things that I had never picked up on before. So those things that I have never picked up on before that I am now learning, I want to share with y'all. And I know this is a little bit different because we're actually going to be going through a book and we're going to be going through the chapters, but I'm super excited because Esther is such a great place to start. It's like a normal book that people would go to a bookstore and grab and read because there's just plot twists and there's irony and it's all really fun and super, super encouraging. So let's go ahead and get started. We're starting in with chapter 1, and I'm reading out of the New International Version for anyone who's wondering. So maybe if you're reading through a different version or if you're following along, it might say some different things, but just to let you know, mine's out of the New International Version. So let's go ahead and get started because there's just so much that I want to talk to y'all about, and I want to make sure that y'all get these things that the Lord has been sharing with me. So we start in verse 1. It says, "This is what happened during the time of Xerxes, the Xerxes who ruled over 127 provinces stretching from India to Kush. At that time, King Xerxes reigned from this royal throne in the citadel of Susa. And in the 3rd year of his reign, he gave a banquet for all his nobles and officials. The military leaders of Persia and Media, the princes and the nobles of the provinces were present." So here we kind of just get like the basic background. So we know that King Xerxes is in charge. And actually, side note, there has been multiple accounts and many historians have found many things about King Xerxes, and maybe your Bible says King Ahasuerus, something like that. But he is actually like a really well documented figure in history. So that's a really cool tidbit to keep in the back of your mind while we read through this book. But anyway, so we know so far that he is having a party, and basically verses 4 through 8, they just describe the party in quite some detailed fashion. I mean, there's like marble pillars and couches of gold, so it's a really wealthy party. And so we kind of see that there's some wealthy people there. King Xerxes is wealthy, and you know, they're having a good time. They're able to drink as much as they want. And if you read through that, you will see that that's what it says. But as we continue to read in verses 10 through 12, it says, "On the 7th day, when King Xerxes was in high spirits from wine, he commanded the 7 eunuchs who served him, Mehuman, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, Abagtha, Zethar, and Carcass, to bring before him Queen Vashti wearing her royal crown in order to display her beauty to the people and the nobles, for she was lovely to look at. But when the attendants delivered the king's command, Queen Vashti refused to come. And then the king became furious and burned with anger." So as we see this party is going on, Queen Vashti is also hosting a party, but then all of a sudden Queen Vashti is called to by one of the eunuchs, and she's called to from the king, who it says is high from spirits of wine, so pretty much he's drunk, and he wants his wife to come. And it's implied that the king is wanting her to parade herself in front of the men in an immodest way. And she denies it. She says, no, like, I'm not going to do it. And so this is where we're at right now. King Xerxes is having this party. Vashti has been told to come, parade herself in front of everyone, and she says no. So this is what King Xerxes decides to do in verses 13 through 18. He pretty much decides to talk to some law officials and ask them what he should do. And they basically tell him like, oh, you should declare a law or something, because if people see that she has disobeyed you, then all the women in all of Persia are going to disobey their husbands as well. So they have a kind of fear in their heart that this thing that Queen Vashti has done will be made known to the women in the rest of the provinces, and that they will then disrespect their husbands. So what they suggest to him in verses 19 through 22, as we read, it says, "Therefore, if it pleases the king, let him issue a royal decree, and let it be written in the laws of Persia and Media, which cannot be repealed, that Vashti is never again to enter the presence of King Xerxes. Also let the king give her royal position to someone else who is better than she. Then, When the king's edict is proclaimed throughout all his vast realm, all the women will respect their husbands from the least to the greatest. The king and his nobles were pleased with this advice, so the king did as Memucan proposed. He sent dispatches to all parts of the kingdom, to each province in its own script, and to each people in their own language, proclaiming that every man should be ruler over his own household, using his own native language. So now we see that a decree has been made, basically a law, which it says in verse 19, cannot be repealed. So a law has been made, and anytime the king made a law, it could not be repealed. So it was permanent, it was official, and it's pretty much to tell the women and all the provinces and all the different languages and stuff like, hey, respect your husband, do what he says. So Queen Vashti, she didn't want to come out and listen to the king, and he's having this party, and then he sends out this law. And me reading this, like where I am now, I was like, why do I need to know this? Honestly, like, why do I need to know this? Why do I need to know about the golden couches and about the king and this whole scenario? And I really was like questioning. But then as I was reading and as I was praying for the Lord to kind of like help me understand, I also read a commentary, and this helped me as well. And it's like, we need to know the backstory because we need to know God's perfect plan. And as you can tell, the title of this video is A Perfect Plan, because God had a perfect plan that he was working out during this time. Everything needed to happen exactly how it happened so that the throne could be set up for Esther, and she was about to come in. And I just think it's so awesome because we can receive an amazing encouragement from this, knowing that God is working on your behalf, and he is working behind the scenes in ways that you don't even know. And he is just doing things, and he is making sure that everything is working out perfectly, exactly like it needs to be done for you to be in the spot that he wants you to be in. And I think that is so encouraging, and I am so excited to continue to read through this book and just continue to share with y'all the things that the Lord is revealing to me, because they're just so special and they're so great. And I just want to let y'all know that there are some little tidbits in here that I also just kind of received from the Lord, just about King Xerxes, just talking about who he is as a person, kind of keeping that in mind as I've been reading. He had to go to law officials to figure out, what do I need to do with my wife? He doesn't really have direction. He doesn't really have any kind of like, I know I need to do this in this situation. And so we got to keep that in mind for the next few chapters. Another thing as well is they sent out this decree to all the people in the nations, in their provinces, in their own native languages. So he is ruling over a lot of people, and so he sends out these decrees, and they're final. And it's kind of a parallel of what's going to be coming up next. So I know this is only one chapter, and I know there's so much that we can go over in just this one chapter, but this is kind of an overview. So I just want to say, like, get ready, buckle up, because this book is so amazing, and it's filled with such an awesome, amazing account of God's faithfulness to his people. And we can take from that how he was faithful to Esther, he was faithful to the Jews, and he will continue to be faithful to us as he works constantly and tirelessly behind the scenes for you and for me. And so I just pray that y'all keep that in your heart, and that you will stay tuned for the next few chapters. This book is pretty short, so it'll be a really short series, but I think it's going to be awesome. And so I hope you guys stay tuned. But anyways, I will talk to you soon. Be blessed. Goodbye.